What's going on, cat gang? Harrison here with two cats, and I got a really interesting video for you today. When I started making content for YouTube way back in May of 2020, Tower Defense Simulator did not have these ridiculous commander tips in the game. And while most of what the commander says is just gibberish, the feature did evolve to include TDS lore during the events, like Halloween 2020 and Frost Invasion. Now, I don't remember the Spring 2020 event having any story about how Ducky Doom was attacking a peaceful Swiss village in the Alps, and we had to help protect their potato crops. So technically, the Solar Eclipse event will be the third TDS event to have lore, and no, I'm not counting the stupid Chad event because it was a stupid Roblox event, not a TDS event. Basically, what I want to do with this video is use the news and leaks the devs have released about this upcoming event to guess what the storyline could be. And I want to start by examining how the stories for the last two events could give us some clues about the story for this event. So let's start with Halloween 2020. Now, I know this might sound crazy because the event lasted for so long, but there are actually people playing TDS right now that started after this event. So they never got to see Lord Sinister and all his minions try to take down Trick or Threat Town. But if you were playing the game during that event, then you'll remember that instead of the commander talking, it was a mysterious figure known as the narrator. So allow me to go over the narrator's dialogue so we can understand how the TDS devs presented this story. On wave 1, the narrator says, "A dreadful night, isn't it? Kids should be outside trick-or-treating for candy. Instead, we have brains to pick. If you survive to the end, I'll give you a nice treat. Good luck, you'll need it." Then he disappears until wave 7, at which point he says, "Look around your surroundings. Enemies may appear where you least suspect." This was a reference to the buried enemies that show up on this wave. Then on wave 10, he says, "Do you hear that sound? What's that? It looks like the party has just arrived. Now this is where the fun begins." Okay, whose side is this guy on? He sounds like he's excited about the bad guys showing up, because this is the wave that the train arrives on. Then on the final wave, he says, "Looks like Lord Sinister is coming to end us all. We're doomed. What's this? The lights are back on. The town is alive again, and the town's citizens are back to reclaim their town." And then if you killed Lord Sinister, the narrator would say, "The army's train is leaving. You did it. You defeated the Pumpkin. Thanks to you, Trick or Threat Town is safe once again. Wouldn't it be unfortunate if they got attacked again? Anyways, as a token of appreciation, the citizens want to award you with a badge. Thanks a lot for playing, and have a spooky Halloween." But if you lost on the final wave, instead of that, he'd say, "No, we were so close. We'll get them next time." So as you can see, this story is really basic. There's no acknowledgement of what made Lord Sinister attack this town, and there's no backstory about where he comes from. His army literally just shows up and starts trying to kill the villagers. So even though there's some lore to go along with this event, it didn't really explain the events that make up the story. Now, one theory that I've heard from the community lately is that this map figures into the Solar Eclipse event because the narrator says, "Wouldn't it be unfortunate if they got attacked again?" I think this is just a throwaway line and doesn't have anything to do with the new event. Maybe at one point the devs thought they were going to use the map again, but that's not happening this year. Alright, now let's take a look at the lore for the Frost Invasion event, which takes place on the Outpost 32 map. For some reason, we're back to listening to the commander's nonsense. On the first wave, he says, "Hello, hello, is anybody here? Thank God, support arrived. We were conducting research on the Frost dimension until the portal suddenly malfunctioned. Frost enemies have been leaking through and started invading the base. Hold out until we can figure out a fix." Then he doesn't say another single word until the final wave when he says, "This is it, the Frost Spirit has arrived. It's do or die." This time, there's no special dialogue for when you're defeated, but if you win, the commander says, "The season is restored and the Frost Spirit defeated. Flowers are blossoming all around us thanks to you. Hopefully this new recruit will be a sufficient reward for your service." Amazingly enough, there's even less TDS lore for the Frost Spirit than there was for Lord Sinister, and there is absolutely no information about who was conducting the research on the Frost dimension or why, or even what the Frost Spirit is. And when you triumph on the map and it turns from winter to spring, the game doesn't even explain why this is happening. Was the Frost Spirit causing our dimension to stay frozen forever? Is the research that they were conducting finished now? I mean, wouldn't this be the best time to cross over into the Frost dimension for further research since all the Frost enemies are dead? We don't know. None of this is addressed. One thing I do want to point out is that when this event was originally released, it was supposed to have two parts. I don't know everything that was supposed to happen in part 2, but I do know we were supposed to get a frost skin for the mortar. I also think there was supposed to be some kind of summer part to the event since it was originally teased as summer versus winter. So maybe if that had been added, there would have been more of a story to better explain what happened during the game. Anyways, now that you've seen how the TDS devs have handled the lore and storytelling for the last 2 events, you'll be able to understand what I think the story for this upcoming event is going to be. First thing I want to point out is that the lore has already begun. We know that this event is going to be divided up into 4 different nights because we got 4 different boss leaks, and on each leak there's a little saying. For the first one, which I'm pretty sure is a Jax remake, it says, "It's awakening." What could this mean? I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but I think it's referencing the fact that the ultimate boss in this event, the Solar Queen, uses her powers to wake him up because Jax originally appeared in the 2019 Halloween event, so we can assume that he's been dead since then, and I think one of the Solar Queen's powers is going to be to revive dead enemies. So Jax is the boss of night 1, and I'm pretty sure the boss of night 2 is another enemy from the 2019 Halloween event, the Swamp Thing. This is the teaser image for night 2, and here is a shot of the Swamp Thing from the Solar Eclipse event trailer. As you can see, this is pretty much just a remake of the Swamp Thing. Here on the leak, it says it's trudging. Now, the definition for trudging is to walk slowly and with heavy steps, so I think this is a reference to how quickly the boss is going to move, which means that it really doesn't have anything to do with the overall story, but I'm pretty sure the story for both of these first 2 bosses is going to be that we fought them before in 2019, and now they've been brought back to life to serve a new master. Alright, now moving on to the 3rd leak, this one says he's scheming. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos where I talk about this leak, then you already know that just like the first 2, I think this is an enemy that's already in TDS, the Void Reaver. Notice how this time, instead of saying it says he. This signifies that this is not just some minor creature in the TDS universe, but something that actually has a gender. Now, I'll tell you why this is important in a second. First, I want to say that I think it says he's scheming because the Void Reaver has actually been working for the Solar Queen this entire time, and even though he tried to kill us in hardcore mode, now he's ready to summon the most evil creature in the universe to finish the job. And that brings me to the final boss leak, the Solar Queen. By the way, Solar Queen is just a name I made up. There's no confirmation from the devs that that's her actual name, but in this leak you see why the gender of the night 3 boss is important. It goes along with this leak that says she awaits. So what's she waiting for? My prediction is that she's been waiting for the signal from the Void Reaver to come to whichever planet he's on, and even though we don't know the Void Reaver's history, it's possible that he's been working for the Solar Queen this entire time. I think it says he's scheming because this plan has been in the works for such a long time, and for the Solar Queen, it says she awaits because she's been waiting on her home planet for him to send a message to meet him on Earth so they can destroy the planet together. Now, this event is called the Solar Eclipse event because the Solar Queen causes a solar eclipse when her army attacks. This is why we have to fight through 4 different nights. They're not actually gonna be nights. The games are gonna take place during the day, but everything's gonna be dark, which is exactly how the trailer for this event starts. So as for the text that's gonna be telling us the story for this event, I don't think we're gonna get a narrator or a commander talking. I think this time it's gonna be the individual bosses. And judging by how little text there was for the Frost Invasion map, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of text this time. The bosses from the first couple of nights are probably gonna say something about being brought back from the dead to fight again. The boss for the 3rd night is probably gonna say something about how this has been his plan all along. And on the final night, the Solar Queen is probably gonna say something about how she travels around the universe destroying planets, and there's nothing we can do to stop her. The big thing that's gonna be different for the lore in this event is the fact that we have to get more story here. This isn't just gonna be another instance where the final boss just shows up out of nowhere. We have 4 complete nights to fight through, so there's gonna be a lot more time for backstory to be revealed. Plus, the devs have to explain how these enemies from 2019 are back again, because I'm pretty sure this is the first time any enemy from an older event has been reused for a new event. So to sum all this up, I think the Solar Queen waits on her home planet to get a signal from the Void Reaver that she's got a new planet to destroy. Then she travels to that planet in this spaceship and uses her powers to summon the evil creatures that are already on that planet to try and kill anyone that stands in her way. Then she also uses her own special army, which is made up of these toy soldier things that come back to life after you kill them the first time, and that's what we're up against. I also think that once we defeat the bosses from nights 1 and 2, the Solar Queen's gonna get really angry and teleport us back in time time to the medieval era for the third night, and that's why we see all these zombie knights in the trailer for this event. Then, once we beat night 3, we get teleported back to the present day and have to fight the Solar Queen in the Colosseum. Now, as for the event tower, I have a feeling that this is her executioner, and once we destroy her, the spell she had over him is broken, at which point he chooses to stay with us and help us in order to make up for all the bad things she made him do. And that brings me to the end of the video. Let me know down in the comments what you think about these predictions. I really think I'm close to guessing the actual lore for this event based on all of the info the TDS devs have released so far. So let me know if you have any other ideas that I haven't thought of. And one more thing I want to do is to give a shout out to Alan from my Discord server for doing this awesome drawing of Lord Sinister versus the Night 3 boss. If you happen to see him around town, be sure to tell him good job. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button with your forehead, hit the subscribe button with your big toe, and turn on notifications however you can so you don't miss any of my amazing upcoming content. And I will see you guys soon. Take care, be safe, and never forget what I always say, police!